is up, gang? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're not talking about comic books, we're talking about music, specifically Kendrick Lamar and his album from 2015, To Pimp a Butterfly. So if you guys have been kind of tuning into my channel lately, I've been kind of going back and forth between, talking music, talking comics, because I love both, and I've connected with a lot of people in the comic community that also love both. So we wanted to get a show going. This is technically our fourth episode of this. Maybe we got to start a numbering system so people can go back and see some of the other reviews that we've done. But hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. We're in December. I'm very excited for the holidays coming. Hopefully everybody's getting some safe weather, staying safe, I guess, in the weather, because it's a little nasty here in Jersey. But take a moment, smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And of course, I got to bring on my boys here, my co-hosts, the not just me, but these two, the three of us here. We got my man Noah. He's raging already.
Hey,
and John, Big Daddy Ross. Noah's ready, yo. He is ready.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready.
How you boys doing?
I'm doing
fantastic.
Good. Yeah, good. I have to say, for those who don't know, make sure you guys are following these gentlemen. I put their information in the description below. And if you're not familiar with like how we do this, every month, it's been about a month, we've taken turns suggesting a new album for the other two and anyone watching to listen to. And we've been kind of across a lot of different genres. This time we were dipping our toes into the hip hop and rap genre. And it's the first time for this, at least for our show. This is our fourth time. So, and of course, this was Noah's choice. So, I guess we've been kind of going around and now technically Noah, this is your second pick. First one being Wild Cherry. So very different to go from Wild Cherry to Kendrick Lamar.
We got some funk trickling into this album.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not that different.
Oh yeah.
No, I leaned into it a little bit,
Absolutely. So before we dive into it, let me say a quick hello to the chat, and then Noah, I will then pass it to you, and you can kind of run with it from there. So we got my man Impress Comics, Matt. What's going on, my friend? Good to see you as always, and of course, Broke Boy pulling double duty in the chat as well. Always appreciate that. We got 8 people tuning in here. I also want to just remind everybody, I'm streaming for like 3+ hours tonight because I'll be on Omni X-Men right back here on this channel shortly after this show. So if you're interested in some X-Men talk, stick around for that. But Kendrick Lamar. Let's do a deep dive here, Noah, on this album from 2015 that you chose. Why and how and what was the thought process behind you picking this as a suggestion for us?
So the thought process behind this was our last 3 that we did. We all picked one so far, and we've kind of stayed somewhat similar genres. Mine was a little bit more funky, but we had metal opera, and then we had classic rock. So a lot of similarities in there, but I wanted to go outside that. I wanted to start diving into a completely different genre. And yes, like I said before, this album has funk influences in it, and tons of others. But yeah, so I wanted to dive into some rap. I wanted to hear John talk about some rap because I was interested in that. And yeah, Kendrick Lamar is one of my favorite artists. This album is probably my second favorite of his. It was a really hard choice between this one and then Good Kid, Mad City. That is probably one of my favorite albums of all time, actually. So yeah, that was kind of the thought process around this. And then this album too is just such a good listen through from start to finish that it was a great choice for one of these shows.
Yeah, no, I like it. And I wanted to ask John, and I'll mention from my own experience, Kendrick, I think we talked about it briefly when you had shared this was the album from last episode. For me, Kendrick Lamar is somebody who Mad City was really the only album that I got into of his. I loved it. That was, to me, his, him hitting the scene. I know he technically has 2 albums prior to that, but that was to me like, yeah, the one I got very familiar with. I loved that album. I think I have that album on vinyl. And I remember still working in the CD store at that time. So it was cool to just be around it and see a lot of fans, being introduced to who he was and his, his music. So after that, I didn't really follow much of his. Not for any particular reason. I think it just didn't come across my plate of listening or my lists, you know, and I've always been exploring, so maybe I was just exploring some other genre at that time, but so I never really returned to him. And then maybe a couple years ago, I like reheard some of his hits that came out again, and obviously he did the Super Bowl last year and everything else, so he's kind of been just, you know, to me, you know, relevant in that way, but I haven't followed closely really since Mad City. So this was my first time listening to this album, To Pimp a Butterfly. When you first said, Noah, when you're like, oh, we're gonna do a Kendrick Lamar album, I thought you were gonna pick Mad City.
I was this close.
And,
I was that close.
Yeah. So, but I like that, you know, this was just a complete change up for me. I you know, not having any familiarity with it. And so John, I wanted to ask you, yeah, like what your background is with, or your experience with Kendrick is.
I never heard of the guy.
Okay.
And I mean, literally, I was talking to some, you know, my kids, you know, who are in their early 30s, and they're like, he played at the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So then I went and I like, oh yeah, all right, I remember this show, but I wasn't paying that close of attention to it. And,
sure.
You know, it's a Super Bowl, you're doing other stuff and things. So yeah. I didn't have any familiarity with them at all. So this was completely new to me.
Cool. Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I will say, listening to this album, it was not written for me. You know, an old white guy. It's just not. Right. But I did find it. I think the first listen through, I don't want to say shocked, but coming from an area where I came up, and you know, this is not something that I'm proud of, but I grew up in an area where there was a bar called the Cozy Corner Club, and it was KKK. You know, it's like, so to hear, you know, some of the, I'm not offended by language, you know, it doesn't bother me. I'm a sailor. I mean, but the use of the N-word so heavily, I was kind of like, the first listen through, I'm like, you know, like it wasn't shocking. It was just kind of like, I was trying to process why. And I think socially, I found it interesting because, you know, it's just one of these things like, okay, by using that word a lot, it takes the power out of it. So right. I thought it was interesting. So then, you know, I listened to it once, and then I kind of dug into it a little bit to see, all right, let me find out about this guy a little bit. So, you know, I did a little search, and I see he's from Compton, and I'm like, all right, you know, I lived in San Diego. I accidentally drove through Compton, you know, in the 80s. You know, when I think of Compton, I think of NWA.
I was just about to say that, yeah,
for sure.
That's just that's, if I hear Compton, I hear NWA.
Yep.
You know, straight out of Compton, boom. You know, so I that was my like first playthrough, but I did message you guys to say, hey, Noah, have you listened to Parliament? And when I went through it the second time, I paid a little closer attention to who was playing on it and things like that. And the first song, Wesley's Theory, has George Clinton on it. And I'm like, well, no wonder it sounds like Parliament Funkadelic. And I mean, I was listening to Parliament Funkadelic in the 70s. That was kind of my intro to maybe this style of music. So I was really, I was a bit intrigued because I really was kind of like, this guy's influence. Like, I don't know how old he is. I'm assuming he's relatively young. He wasn't around listening to Parliament in the 70s. So it made me like really kind of pay attention. And as I listened to it more and more, I really grew, I really gained a lot of respect for his choice of music. So what I found myself doing is that even though the lyrics, and I mean, I appreciate the political and the social stuff, they weren't, it really wasn't aimed towards me. I really appreciated the music, the flow. I mean, the guy's got really good rap flow. So it was like I found it, and then I found like as I probably got into my fifth or sixth playthrough, I started to go, all right, I really like these are the songs that I really like, you know, and like I'll be singing along, and they're not written to me, and they don't represent me, but they're good songs. I mean, these are like really good songs. Like I enjoy them.
Yeah.
So I thought overall, I mean, the album was interesting. But there's a bit of a conflict for me with this album.
Yeah.
Because, you know, on one hand, you know, I'm from an area or I grew up around, you know, some racism and things like that, which I don't want to encourage. But on the same note, I don't use those words, but here he is, you know, maybe he's trying to take the power back. And I thought it was interesting.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said.
Yeah.
Um,
That was honestly about the answer I was probably expecting to get out of you. I would definitely lie, but I'm very happy that you gave the album a chance and you're
Yeah.
listening through it through and when you're talking about like his inspirations with the funk and like Parliament and everything, that's something that I love about rap music is all the influence they take from
like
all
history.
music throughout history, whether it's funk, it's rock, R&B, you know, classic blues. Like they take so much influences from all these different genres and people that, and then they cut it up and they use it in their songs and they make something completely new out of it. It's just something I absolutely love about the genre.
Yep. Yeah, well said. Quick hello to Kenneth Bird in the house. What's going on, Kenneth?
Hey.
Okay.
So, Noah, do you want to give us a little bit of background and details on Kendrick and this album in particular and kind of go in depth with that a little bit?
Sure, yeah. So this album was his fourth studio album. After Good Kid, Mad City. Like you were saying before, it came out 2015. Kendrick, and as John was saying, grew up in Compton, USA, you know, California. So a lot of this album too is, and I have a much more of an appreciation for this album more than I did before, constantly listening to it for the show, where I really got into the depths of what this album is about. And on the front side of it, and I understand where you're coming from, John, like the political side of it, there is definitely a lot of talk about that. However, that's not is 100% what it's about. When you actually read the lyrics and when you think about it in this context of he's a lot of this album is actually struggling with fame and with growing up.
Yeah,
And
I did catch that.
yeah, right. As you know, as you listen through it and read through it, there's a ton of instances about, you know, growing up, how he did, and the struggles of fame and money and all of these things. So I just have so much more of an appreciation of this. And then something else too that I love about this album is the interview that gets cut up throughout the album, and then it leads into the final song, Immortal Man. And as we find out, it's Tupac who he's talking to.
So
I believe it's Kendrick is the one that wrote the little poem, I guess, that he recites throughout the album. I believe that was him that wrote it. Excuse me. But the Tupac, and if you're wondering how the hell he, you know, was talking to Tupac when Tupac's been dead for ever at this point. He actually, I watched an interview the other day. He found a unreleased interview from, I think he was in Germany, and there was this like a Swedish interview with Tupac right before he died that was unreleased, and he got his hands on it and he used that for this album, which I thought was really cool. It's also Tupac talking about very similar things about him growing up and how he views fame and money and all these things. So it's so interesting. And then, you know, reading that, his little poem, will say, all the way through, when he connects it at the end, it really just ties together the entire theme of this album. And I love that.
It's almost a concept album.
Oh, 100%.
Definitely
Yeah.
a concept album.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 100% a concept album.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was enlightening to me. And I'm like, I don't shy away from politics and music. In fact, I embrace it. So that stuff doesn't bother me. I think probably, you know, being the father of two kids that are now older than Noah, you know, it's like I sit there and I go, you know, they're older now, so I wouldn't, you know, be upset with them listening to this music. But like, for example, on Thanksgiving, my oldest Logan came over, and their friend Ray, and Ray's a big Kendrick fan, and I was talking to him about it, and you know, it was interesting to me, but I grappled. I think the biggest challenge for me was grappling with the N word, just so prevalent. You know, it's just not a word that I would ever use. So I think that was my biggest challenge. But once I kind of got past that, it was like, okay, I understand, you know, what's going on here. And again, you know, I think that was, in terms of, if you want to call it shock, that was the thing that maybe shocked me. But I think probably the thing I grappled with the most, because it's not something that I'm going to go around singing per se. You know, I mean, I was thinking about who, like, I've seen live and stuff, and like I've seen Busta Rhymes, and I've seen Run DMC, and I've seen, you know, rap. I've seen rap bands, but it was just so prevalent, and it's like, I don't want to be walking around singing, you know, shit don't change unless you wipe your ass. You know, it's like, you know, I found myself humming that at work, you know, and it's like, man, I can't be singing this around here, you know.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I think that, and again, going back to the idea of it being a concept album, it was, to me, this is not an album that was written to produce hits or to, you know, hit the radio or be catchy in any way. It was to get a message out and to tell a story, ultimately. You know, you have the whole theme of the idea of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly, but being pimped out. That was my whole, I was so intrigued by just the title of the album to say, what does that mean, to pimp a butterfly? Like, where's he going with this? And every song was going into so many different directions. At first, my first listen was like, whoa, there's just like a lot going on, a lot of different genres, a lot of different attitudes within the tone of voice that he's using. I sensed sarcasm in certain songs, and then anger in certain songs, and depression in certain songs. So there's all these different things. And I mean, I certainly had to do a little research on this because I wanted to see more of like what the direction of this was. And as I learned more and realized that this is a story, and it's about, no, as you are, you know, pointing out, especially with the theme of To Pimp a Butterfly, it's about, you know, the idea of successful people of color who are being used for money, essentially, or using their, you know, their creatives and making money off them because they might not be as educated to know what to do with it, or they don't have, you know, certain spendings on things. I watched like a couple of YouTube videos too on like just like a breakdown of the album, and like I was completely blown away on like, no, it's like, to your point, like, you just, if you read, just go through this, don't listen to the music or the actual songs, and just read through the album. Like the story it connects, and understanding like the, like the one of the songs is like him dancing with the devil. It's like a fake world that he's in, where, or really like a hell in a sense, where he's like going back and forth and being tempted by the devil, Lucy or Lucifer.
Yep.
What he's referencing. Like there were just so many heavy messages in that regard, and the idea of him growing through this album, because at the beginning of the album he's just like, King Kunta is about like him puffing his chest and being the man and being the best rapper, and taking all the limelight, making all the money, all this stuff, and then later realizing that like what it does to corrupt a person, and how a lot of people lose their morals and lose their right of way of thinking, or they lose their mind even, and him wanting to kind of get back on track, as you go into the second half of the album. Like all that stuff to me was like, it was just so, it's like easily such a great album in my mind now, like just like understanding more of the direction he went. And I never, even for Mad City, I feel like I never went that deep with his lyrics. And obviously
Mad City,
well, totally. And I even got a little bit of that from like some of the stuff I learned about this album. But like now I want to go and listen to every album of his and just really do a deep dive on stuff. And typically that's how I would want to be with like hip hop, especially. I usually have that appreciation for specifically the lyrics more than the music, more than, anything else, because I want to hear what they're trying to say. And so, I mean, I should know that it's probably going to be something big, but yeah, this, between the title and then all the different change ups in the music, I was like, man, there's like so much deeper stuff here. I need to like learn more. So, to me, that was like, it turned the whole thing for me as I started to listen more and more to it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So something about the title really quick, going back to that, how you're so intrigued, but there's something else I saw too, where the original title of this album was actually To Pimp a Caterpillar, because but I think the reason they couldn't do it was because To Pimp a Caterpillar would be two and then TU or TAP, Tupac, or TP.
Oh,
wait, 2PAC. It would be Tupac.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he had to change it.
Oh,
but I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting, Justin, is you were talking about how there were like, it wasn't made to, make a single or anything like that. One of the things that I did do, and I didn't do a deep dive on the lyrics on this album. Life has been crazy the past couple of weeks, but I did get a chance to watch him. I think it was on Austin City Limits, and he was able to do a song or do a couple songs and change the lyrics and just avoid saying certain words for like a show on TV.
Oh yeah.
And still make his point. And that really impressed me. This guy's talented, that, and I got to say, I appreciate, Noah, for introducing me to him, because again, this is not music that's written for me. I was talking to my shipper at work, and, I'm like, have you ever listened to Kendrick Lamar? And he's like, oh yeah. And I said, well, I'm doing this, and we got into a little bit of a conversation, and it just, again, it's like, I just sit here and I go, this music is not written I'm not the target audience, but, I don't know. It's just, this album was it's an album that I can see myself listening to on occasion. I'm not going to say that it's going to be in regular rotation. It's not, but the more I listened to it, the more I appreciated it. And I think a lot of that was his use of jazz there's a lot of jazz in this.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Is and I really have to wonder, like, because I'm just not educated enough. I'm used when I'm of that generation where rap was sampled. I don't get the impression that this was sampled. I get the impression that this is a band playing behind him
Yeah.
versus, a DJ.
Oh yeah.
So,
A lot of the times, yeah, he either will sample off of something a lot, or goes for anyone in general. They will either sample something or they will take an entire band or sometimes even an orchestra of people and actually create it. And it's so cool. Yeah.
yeah. And that, I mean, as a kid growing up, and I guess I got into music in the late 70s and rap was just starting. That was the big complaint about rap is that, well, they're just taking other people's music and talking over it. And it's like, this didn't give me that impression. And another thing I took out of this, because I really, Parliament was the first one that jumped off at me. But, in King Kunta, he's talking, he's throwing some references out there to Michael Jackson.
Yep.
I picked up stuff from Prince. I thought there was some Prince influence in there. I picked up some stuff that, again, on Blacker the Berry, I thought whoever was in the background, whether it was, I don't know if it was Kendrick because nobody else is credited on it, but it put me in the mind of Busta Rhymes. And I also heard some Stevie Wonder influences. So it really, I mean, there was, and then just all the jazz. There was a lot of jazz. So it really, the music impressed me, and the fact that it didn't just feel like Vanilla Ice doing Ice Ice Baby with, Queen and David Bowie.
Right. Yeah.
And another thing that really impressed me was just his flow, his ability. And I mean, a challenge for me is, it's funny because I think back on my parents, because I would be playing, rock bands, and they'd be like, that's just noise. I can't understand what they're saying, And as it worked out, I ended up working with my mom, and we'd be playing this music, and she finally got to where she could understand what the hell they were saying and stuff. And I was really able to listen and understand what he was saying, even though he's sometimes rapping pretty quickly. He enunciated and everything enough that I was able to pick it up, and I was able to get that flow and be able to pick up what he was saying and the point he was trying to make. That impressed me. Not every rapper, especially what I would call newer rappers, can do that, I can't at least understand it so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, to your point, Kendrick Lamar's lyricism and all of his music is just phenomenal. I feel like top tier. To compare to other, very lyricism rappers. Just like you're saying, his flow and then the way he ties words together as he raps through like a verse, it's insane. And what was the other thing I was gonna say? Crap. Brain fart.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
No, you're good. His enunciation. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he is one of those rappers where I definitely cling to him pretty quickly because I actually could understand what he was saying. And in my early days of listening to this genre, like there's sometimes parts of songs I didn't even know what he was saying. It took a lot of listening and a lot of getting used to rapping to figure out like when they enunciate and everything like that. But also I definitely can't do like the whole mumble rap thing. I'm not into that kind of rap. It's definitely more of like, I like being able to understand what you're saying, and I totally get that.
I don't even understand. Like, I guess I've never had anyone say, if you want to hear mumble rap, listen to this person,
Yeah,
because
right.
I have no, I have, I hear the use of the term mumble rap, but I have no idea what it is.
They're mumbling pretty much. I mean,
It's a style. It's a style.
it's a
Yeah.
style, yeah.
I mean, but think about this. Like, if you obviously there's a ton of great Spanish music out there, right? All different genres. And I don't speak any Spanish. I mean, I know how to ask to go to the bathroom. That's about it. But I know like, I'll never like turn it down just for the idea that I don't understand it, or anything like that. Same thing with, like, I mean, I'm a huge metal fan, and there's a lot of growling in metal, and I don't certainly understand some of that. There are some who I do think that are very good, clear growlers, and that's like on purpose. But there's others that are not, and that's also on purpose. But at the end of the day, like, if it's got something that has to do with powerful lyrics, or if it's just the music in general, I never would want to like dismiss it just because I didn't understand it. And even like you're saying, like, there's certainly like a lot of different rap styles. Busta Rhymes he speaks clear English, but he just speaks super fast. So I could understand somebody being turned off by that too, of like, what is he saying? I don't, he's talking too quickly or whatever. But I think it's just about, like, yeah, putting the effort in to see what it's about, or to get an understanding of what's being said, or a mixture of that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be fair. There are some, I mean, I haven't listened to it in a while. It's been like since high school since I really listened to mumble rap. But there were a lot of artists and a decent amount of songs that I did listen to. There were some that did pique my interest, and the beats and the production of the songs were very well done. So I can't say I'm like completely shied away from it. It's definitely been a while for me, I would say.
Yeah.
And it's not, I've definitely diving down a lot of different artists than that now, but I guess I'll say I'm not into it yet.
It's tough. It's also tough, like, if it's a mood thing too, right? Like, I mean,
That's
believe
true.
me, even for just this past month, there were certainly times I just wasn't in the mood to listen to Kendrick Lamar. It just wasn't what I was feeling as far as the style goes, or like, I had to be in the right mindset to just get into that, as I need to be with anything else too. Like, it just, like, a lot of it, as we talked about this in the past, but like, a lot of music listening is mood based for me. And it depends where I'm at too. If I'm at a party, something uplifting, I don't want to listen to something heavier or darker per se, and then vice versa. If I'm feeling really sad, I might not want to listen to something happy at the moment. And that's not to say that style of music's good or bad. It's just not what I'm into at that moment. Quick
I can't listen to the same kind of music like in a single day. I'll
right.
listen to 3 or 4 types of music.
Yeah.
I mean, what's today? Tuesday. So Sunday, I was listening to this album, but then on Thursday, Thanksgiving, you had the Thanksgiving Day parade, and Andrea Bocelli's son was in the parade. And I ended up, my wife and I were like just kind of tooling around doing some cooking and stuff. And I like scrolled up his album and threw it on, because I've seen Andrea Bocelli a couple times live. And it's like, so we're listening to opera while we're just cooking.
Yeah.
It's like music to me is like, it's appropriate for different things that I do.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. It very much depends on the activity, and whether or not you want to be fired up for something. Or, I mean, I know, like, sometimes being sad and listening to sad music just works, and you just want that at that time. So I think, again, it depends kind of where you're at that day, or that mindset, or whatever you're going through. Interesting thing from Gore here. He said, growing up, rap music was in the margins of my interest. It wasn't until I saw the film Do the Right Thing and listened to Public Enemy for the first time, which made me pay attention. Excellent band.
Yeah, it's funny with Public Enemy, because my first exposure to them was Here's Public Enemy, a rap band, with Anthrax, a hardcore band, doing a Joe Jackson Got the Time song, which Joe Jackson was what we would call alternative at the time. Those three things just blew me away. Seeing that on MTV, I was like, holy shit, this is nuts. This is cool. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
John, what's going on, John? He says, "Oh, I thought this was a how-to kind of show. I was confused on what you wanted me to do with butterflies."
You want to pimp them? That's what we want you to do with them.
John, I think you would really enjoy this album. John's comments with kids. We need to give him more homework. He needs to.
This guy.
There you go. That guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, especially with the lyrics and everything. Very, very, very good.
Yeah.
No. What else lyrically like stood out to you, or theme wise stood out to you? Because there's so many themes in this album, and was there like other things that like? Because as I learned more about it and as I re-listened to it, I just got like so hyped about like it was almost like a comic book to me. Like it was like story. Like you could picture these scenes. The song "You," where he's like basically like freaking out and screaming in the beginning of that song, and then he looks in the mirror at himself and he's like drunk, and he's like drunk rapping, which by the way I think he did that so well. It reminded me of Eminem back in the day when Eminem would do like Stan, like the famous song Stan, and just acting as another perspective or another person. In this case, this is a drunk him, and the demons that he was kind of facing, and the failures that he was like blaming himself for. Like there's so much that song that was so heavy, and then the opposite, the song "You," and then the opposite of the song "I," and where he kind of came out on the other end and like figured out or found himself essentially and got away from feeling like he had to do stuff just for the fame and fortune and wanted to get back to his moral side of things. Like that's again, like and John, I'm going to send you this video later that you should watch, because there's probably several videos, but this guy I watched broke down every single song, and it is just this movie.
I love those videos.
Yeah, like it was so impressive, and
I think I was my favorite. Of
all the songs. It's a good one.
And that's an upbeat song because he's like, it reverses it. I mean, it's complete opposite of where his headspace was in the beginning of the album, and
it's the last song before Mortal Man, before he gets into that interview with Tupac there. So that is kind of like you're saying, him coming out on that other side after all the struggles and everything. Something that I have a lot more respect for, and honestly I would probably say is gonna be like my favorite song of this album for the show. Like my other favorite ones from this was King Kunta. That was a big one. All Right is just an anthem. Was a top one for me, and then These Walls too was another big one for me. But I have a lot more appreciation for how much $1 costs now after listening to it and reading all the way through, because I never caught it before. I never caught how it's literally a story of him walking out of a gas station, the guy asking him, for money, for $1. And it talks a lot about his like selfishness, and it's something that we've all done too. And I think that's a big part of it too, is I'm sure everyone has done it in their lives where someone, unfortunately in their circumstances are on the street and they, need to ask for money, and, us walking by, it's like, no, sorry, don't have anything. And
no, I'm a sucker. I always give them something.
Yeah. I know. And Kendrick in this song, he, was that person's like, I don't have any money. I don't have anything. And then he's sitting in his car and he's staring at him, and then he's staring back, and now he has an issue with him. And now he's like, I see through your lies. I know what you're doing. I see a hustler when I know a hustler when I see one, and all this stuff. And then it ends up, and then I think it ends up being like God in the end.
It's God. Yeah, it's God.
It ends up being God in the end of the song.
Yeah, like, and he's basically
the cost of this is your way to heaven. Like, it's,
you lost your spot. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
pretty
was
much.
it.
Yeah, it's just a whole.
That's what this dollar was worth. Yeah.
Yep, it's a whole song about selfishness and everything, and
I'm gonna
I
have to
have
I'm gonna
so
have
much
to
more.
listen to that again with that in perspective.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
that was one of the songs that I don't have any notes on.
mhm.
Like
Yep.
the songs that stuck out for me, I liked Wesley's Theory because it reminded me so much with George Clinton, but with the Parliament influence.
Right.
King Kunta, I really like that funk, where after, like it's the third song and you've got that funk.
The funk in that song. I loved that song before I've even listened to the entire album.
Yeah, that stuck out. Complexion to me gave me a lot of Prince influence, which I'm a huge. I shouldn't say I'm a huge. I really like Prince. I've never really done a big deep dive on him. So to be honest, to Prince fans, I'm a casual listener. But the Prince that I love, I love. And then I was probably my favorite song. But I have a lot of notes on here in terms of jazz and there's some things that I have like in Hood Politics, that whole boom boom thing threw me off.
That I get that. That threw me off in the beginning too.
Yeah,
Like
it was just
initially
kind of like,
listening to this, yeah.
It's just it seemed kind of humorous and it threw me off.
I get that.
And like in Blacker the Berry, just being who I am and where I grew up, I didn't like how he used the word monkey, comparing himself, and I don't know. I can't relate to it, so it's hard for me. But I didn't like that. But I did like the fact that the guy, whether it was him or someone else, sounded like Busta Rhymes. But overall, I mean, I think of all the albums that we've listened to, this is only the fourth. This was the album that really grew on me the most. Each listen, I liked it more and more and more.
Yeah,
same.
I can definitely say the same thing where it took a while. Like I have listened to this album all the way through, a few times. But really having this chance to really deep dive into it, I have so much more love for this album. It's honestly insane. There's gonna be a lot of these songs that are gonna be added to a bunch of playlists after this. And yeah, again, just deep diving into the lyrics and just what the concept of this album is really about. It really just hit home for me. And just going into this album with that context of, his struggles and with, struggling with fame and, all that stuff we've been talking about. Like it just brings a whole new light to this album, and it's insane. Yeah.
I wanted to call out there were a couple songs I wanted to highlight, but Institutionalize. So one, they were pointing at what?
That's the song that I sing the most.
Oh, so, and that's the one that shit don't change until you wash your ass. There's so much in that. First, Institutionalized, they were saying like almost a play on words for institutional lies. If you, as you say this out, but a lot of it was him talking about, his struggle with the idea that as he got famous and successful, that he wanted to bring his friends from Compton with him, but he wanted to bring them on tour. He wanted to show them the world and all this stuff, but he was concerned because, I guess some of them are, the way they live, the way they've lived, a lot of them are troublemakers in various ways. And he started to get like nervous or concerned of bringing his friends around because he thought he'd get in trouble for like some of the things that they were doing, like robbing people and things of that nature. And again, he's like living this different life now. And so he's trying to be this big shot. Hey, I'm successful. Look at me, and I'm the best, or whatever. And at the same time, he wants to be supportive of his community, where he's come from. He doesn't want to be one of those rappers that just forgets everybody, but he's battles with himself because he's struggling, because he's starting to feel that way, because he can't, if he brings his troublemaker friends around and they do something dumb that gets him in trouble, that could be bad publicity. It could be affect sales. It could all these other things. But now he's like within himself angry because he's having these mixed feelings, and he's feeling hypocritical on this subject, you know. And then the idea of the lyric, John, that you were pointing out, the, you know, shit don't change until you wash your ass. That's, I guess, supposed to be like his mother, or you know, teaching him as he's a boy, but basically to say it's not going to change unless you're willing to put work in and change it, or to do something about it. And that's where like the repetitiveness of that, you know, kind of came from.
Yeah, that's stuck in my head so much. I'm like,
oh yeah,
that is so true. It's
but
not
it's
something my parents would say, but you know what?
It's just another way of saying
true.
It's another way of saying it, right?
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of this album is. A lot of the way he phrases things are sayings for other ways of saying certain things. But just to see his conflict in this, and feeling like, you know, if he turns his back on the community, he's going to look like a sellout. If he brings them with him, then he might get in trouble. Like him going back and forth. This was still earlier in the album. I think this was right after King Kunta.
Yeah, it was like the fourth song.
Yeah. So this is very much where he's still not. He hasn't gone through the traumatic change, or the song "You" and really admitting all these failures and depression that he was dealing with. The other song I wanted to highlight was "Mama," because when I first like listened to that album or that song, I was just like, oh, like, you know, this is a song about his mom, and this is what, you know, what does this mean exactly, or what is this? But it turns out it's not about his mom at all. It's about his homeland, his motherland, Africa, and what it did for him to go back and visit, you know, his homeland, which he wasn't doing prior to that. And if you, some of those lyrics, he taught, there's like probably a verse or two where he says, I know everything. I know this, I know that, I know everything. And as he's saying that, that's him before he goes back to his homeland. And then he goes to his homeland and basically becomes humbled with everything he learns about his past, the history, where his people come from, what they've gone through to get to where they are today, and how they live. And now he goes and is opposite of that. He finally reverses, you know, the whole I know everything, and instead he figures out that he knows nothing, and that this is a whole learning experience for him, you know, kind of as a flip side. So to me, Mama was another big song that was, from a lyrical standpoint, so interesting. And again, going more into his story, because it went in order. Like it was, you can hear how he's, you know, he's incorrect about the way he feels. He's hypocritical. He's depressed. And as he wakes up, you know, then he goes on tour. Like that was like part of what he did, right? He like went back to Africa and toured there for a while. And they even brought up like, you know, Dave Chappelle and like him doing that. And the idea of, again, going back to the idea of like pimping out a butterfly, you know, Dave Chappelle was offered like $50 million and to do like season 3 or whatever of his show. And he turned it down, and people thought he was crazy. But it wasn't about that. It was that there was so much more self-worth to him, and him wanting to really go back, kind of like what Kendrick did. He, you know, Dave did it first, but like gone back to his homeland. And that's what he did. And I remember headlines saying Dave Chappelle, you know, moves back to Africa when he passes up a 50 million, like, and people just thought he was nuts. Like, what an idiot, you know, or whatever. But there was so much more to him that he was trying to find himself. And that just, again, just kind of relating to this journey that Kendrick's gone through, was really, really heavy. And again, keep in mind, this is 2015. I mean, there was obviously a lot going on in the world at that time, but for him to recognize that that's something he needed to do, and to go back to his homeland, I mean, it changed his life, obviously, and he learned so much. So I just thought it was really interesting, and I love, because I remember the first time hearing it, and him saying I know everything. I'm like, I took it as like literalness. So I'm like, man, this guy's like cocky. Like, why is he just rapping about that? But that's where I'm like, no, there's some sarcasm here. Like, where's he going with this? And as I look deeper into everything with the lyrics, it all made sense. So
Yeah.
I've got an enormous amount of respect for this guy. I mean, just in I mean, the guy won a Pulitzer Prize. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
First rapper. I mean,
Yeah.
not jazz, not classical. This guy won a Pulitzer Prize.
Yep.
So, it just, again, not being in that circle. And I always say, at work almost daily, you don't know what you don't know. Unless somebody's introduced you to it, there's so much out there. You just don't know it. So this was something that just was not on my radar at all. I appreciate Noah. Thank you for introducing me to this. And it is something that, listening to you guys, that I need to dig a little bit more into the lyrics.
I think it'll change a lot of how you view.
Normally I would. It's just been it's been busy. So
yeah. No, we just had Thanksgiving. Like there's been a lot, and I actually wanted to listen to this more than I did. It was really like these past 2 days where I'm at work at my cubicle, and I'm like, okay, I'm really listening to it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to listen to it more, but again, we just had all the holidays and everything, so it happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you that link, John. It's really good.
Yeah, I'd appreciate.
I'll send it to both of you, but yeah. It's really.
I'd like to watch that too, actually. Yeah,
very eye opening. Yeah.
I tried to look up a few videos, and I looked up a few interviews and things like that, but I didn't find one yet that broke down every song and every album.
Oh yeah,
there is a guy who I watched before who he did that. I don't know if it's the same one.
Oh, maybe. There's probably a lot though, but yeah,
there is.
Yeah,
but do we want to talk about the album cover real quick before?
Yeah.
Before we,
I didn't even look at it blown up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You have it with you? Don't know.
Oh,
you don't. Oh, I don't know why. I thought you had a vinyl. I thought you had it on vinyl.
No, I wish I did. I have Good Kid, Mad City on vinyl.
Okay, yeah. Right. No, let's talk about it. I don't like have it ready or anything, but
hold on. Let me I got this. I don't know if I can send you it or anything.
You should have an option to share your own screen, I think.
Oh, that would be amazing.
And then you can just accept it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yawning, guys. I've been up since 1 a.m.
No, you're good. Dude.
Oh, jeez.
I was at work at 4:15 this morning, so
long day. Super long day. Oh, I missed this. Gore said Prince's early albums are fantastic. Before Purple Rain, MTV rarely played his videos. The USA Network, though, Friday nights had a program that played his Dirty Mind and Controversy videos. Oh, interesting.
Yes, Gore. Those two albums are fabulous.
I'm trying to find a blown up version of it. Why is this not?
Oh, I have it as the
Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. Yeah, I know you have it as the
background.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see if I can upload it as a picture, because then I can just hold it that way. I forgot I had it right on the.
I actually didn't even know you could share your screen on here. Sorry, guys. Technical difficulties over here.
No, it's all good.
Hey, I'm on my phone.
Okay,
there we go.
Being a pain in my ass.
So there it is.
Yeah. So there it is. What's interesting, I actually didn't really know this either, was Kendrick is in there. He's kind of in the middle. He's holding the kid, I believe, like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Kind of shouting out to, I guess, the right side. And something I found out about this album cover, these are actually all friends and family.
Just friends. Yeah. This goes back to institutionalize.
Right.
And the idea of like he wanted to take everybody with him. Yeah, like wherever,
Yeah.
But he was struggling with it. So that was, and again, that which was even cooler to be like, like connect all these pieces and be like, what does the title have to do with this image, and all these other things. And as you listen to lyrics, it's like, oh, like damn. It's really cool.
Yeah, I also think this album cover too, it plays in the part where a lot of people, they think that it's a very political album, which it has tons of verses and
Yeah.
lines of politics in it. So that definitely a lot of people think about that when seeing this album cover as well, because they're doing it right in front of the White House.
Right, right.
So, and actually,
Well,
I don't even know if that person laying on the ground is supposed to be a specific somebody,
mm.
but I don't even know I think he's holding it, or I think it's a judge, which one makes sense. He's holding a gavel.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
actually. Yep. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this also was what was I just gonna say about oh, you just said something about it that made me think of something. 2015.
Oh,
Nope.
this was right
Let's go.
before Trump came to office.
Yeah, he talks
Yeah.
about he talks about Obama in the album.
But
Yeah,
this
he does.
also was well, of the time when there was a lot of police brutality and like Trayvon
Right.
Martin and Michael Brown and their deaths and
Yep.
and mourning. Oh, that's what I was going to say, was that the you know, the quote unquote hit of this album was All Right, right? The song All Right, which
Yeah.
that was a song when it did come on. I'm like, oh yeah, like I know this song. Like I've you know, remember hearing this when it came out. But this also was like an anthem for when people were marching for you know, mourning those who passed from police brutality. And a lot of people, as you said, like took this as like the anthem to, you know, that we're going to be all right, you know, that being the lyric. But one of the things that I was watching when I was like learning some of this stuff was if you're going by this as the story that it's written, he talks that song All Right happens right after what is it? Right after You. So You is this story where he basically he's drunk, he's depressed, he's angry, he's throwing this crazy fit because he's struggling with all these demons of failures that he had went through, and basically feels like he's like imposter syndrome, like he shouldn't be where he is today, and so like he feels like he's a worse person than that. And when he gets this, the next song is All Right, because that was part of, after this traumatic song, he went into saying, but I'm going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily supposed to be an anthem for quote unquote the people, but it ended up being that. I mean, and they took that in that direction, which is not like, you know, right or wrong per se, but it's just, I found that very interesting that it was, it just ended up being a theme, but it really was just a song where, because you had this heavy, angry and depressing song, then him saying, you know, it's going to be all right. I'm going to be all right. Let's move forward, you know, so on and so forth. It was really just continuing the story.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't supposed to be the anthem that it was.
I think that the part that plays in the anthem was actually the chorus. Because as we've been talking about certain songs, if you see me looking down, I'm reading lyrics right now.
Oh yeah.
And I think a part of the reason why it probably became an anthem with everything going on, it was parts of the chorus is like,
oh, it fits.
Yeah, like when our pride was low, you know, looking at the world, like where do we go? And we hate Popo, want to kill us in the dead, want to kill us dead in the streets for show. Yeah, like
that all. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
And at the preacher's door, my knees getting weak and my gun, my Popo weak. Sorry. That was the song that was playing in my head in the beginning of this live stream when I had the glasses. Was that song?
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah. But.
Justin mentioned Institutionalized, and that's the song that my notes mentioned, Stevie Wonder, which I was thinking I Wish, looking back on when I was a little nappy headed, you know. Yeah. So I don't know. The more I listened to this, the more I really enjoyed it. I do need to do more of a deep dive into it, I think. But overall, you know, we need to get to, because Justin's got another show here.
Yeah.
Yes.
we need to get to our ratings.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
I'm torn on this one. So let me hear what you guys have to think.
Ooh, I'm gonna be biased over here. Justin, you go first.
All right. I was gonna say, yeah. I think Noah's last, right? It's usually the whoever's the album picker goes last. I'm gonna go. So I mean, this again, as I learn more about it, this certainly took time for me, and this is what I love about it, and this is what I love about a lot of the music I choose and fall in love with, especially from a heavy metal standpoint. Um, there's albums where it takes takes me a while to get into it. It's not an instant thing. It's not that catchy tune. It's not that radio hit, and I almost don't want that. Like it's to me that is like candy. It's something that's sweet, but it's gone. And I want something that I can savor. I want something that is long term, that's going to stay with me, that's going to mean something to me, that's going to be in my memory or based on history or whatever effects it has on my life and the world. However it hits me. That's what I look for more. And I'm willing to, if someone says, look, this album is a 10 out of 10, you got to listen to it. And I hear other people saying that same thing, I am very curious. I'm like, how are this many people saying this album is a 10 out of 10 or a perfect album or the greatest album of all time or like some crazy phrase like that? To me, I'm like, okay, I got to give it a listen. And when I do, and I just feel like I fall in love with it and it pays off that, again, maybe I didn't like it that first time, that second time, that third or whatever. And I feel like this was kind of that album in the beginning for me because I needed to get there. I needed to hear it more. And again, this is why I make that rule for myself. We talked about this on the first episode. I feel like no one's truly given an album a shot until you listen to it 7 times. And so for me, I went way more than 7 on this album. And I do that for all of our albums, just out of, I want to hear, I want to make sure I know everything about it before I rightfully judge it, as I would want someone to do the same for me if I was suggesting an album to them. Like, no, give it a full listen. So with all that said, long story short, and I'm rambling here, but I think that this is at least at a minimum, it's got to be a 9 for me out of 10. It very well could be a perfect album. I want to listen to it more. Again, I think once I got deeper into the lyrics, that changed so much for how I felt about it, how fascinated I was with his message and the story and who he is, what he's gone through and what he's trying to do for the world, and the message that he's trying to convey. And for those who might follow what he's gone through from creative perspective and from someone coming from color, especially into this world, and making sure people don't take advantage of you if and when you do become successful. And here's what the things to consider. Like, there's so much in this album with that I easily understand why. There were people when I was looking this up that were straight up saying this is the greatest rap album of all time, or one of the best rap albums of all time, or just one of the best albums, not even rap, just albums of all time. So when you put that level on anything, I mean, my ears perk up because I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, are you just some rando person that's like, I like this, I like that, I like all things that are good or whatever? Or are you like, do you genuinely have a backing to how you're feeling and why you're saying that? And as I've now learned more and talking with you guys about it more, and just listening to it more, I feel like it deserves that. So I'm going to go a 9 just because I'm still learning even more with this album, but I know I'm trying to squeeze every ounce out of it. And I'm truly glad that Noah, that you had suggested this, because I don't think I would have ever really returned to this. When I think of him, I think of the album prior to this one, and some of his new stuff, and that's all I really gave him a shot to. And I promise you, I am going to do a deep dive on every single one of his albums now, because I am just so curious and so impressed with his talent, from just an artist standpoint. Doesn't matter the genre, just an artist standpoint. He is, for what he did with this album back in 2015. Shame on me for not keeping up. That's how I feel. So I'm going to put it up top, and I would definitely recommend this to others. And again, it's an acquired taste. I think it's something you got to be patient with and listen more to. So I would preface that for anybody I told to, but it is well worth it. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but I'm very excited to listen more to this album. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Awesome. That was well said.
Yep.
That was very well said. Yeah, going a lot off of that, where all the themes we've been talking about, just his lyricism and his storytelling and the production in general of this album too is phenomenal. And yes, I was the one that picked this album, so I will have a little bit of bias. But I will say, before this though, I had a lot less knowledge about this album than I do now.
Yeah.
And like we're saying, after deep diving into all the lyrics and diving into the messages behind this and the story, it just brought that whole other level to this album. And again, I, like Justin, I would suggest this to anyone. And even if it might be like a cultural difference, looking past that and getting to the root of this album and the messages behind it, I think is just phenomenal. I would say I am also still kind of learning with this one. It's not one of those ones where I have like every single song added into my library. I would also have to give it a 9 out of 10. I was playing with the idea of giving it a 10 out of 10. Because
I wouldn't fight you either way. I
Yeah.
wouldn't fight you either way.
yeah,
I don't think anybody would.
I am very close to giving it a 10 out of 10. I would say within the next year, it will probably be up there for me.
I was
the
gonna say
more
a few
I
more
listen to this.
listens. Yeah.
A few more listens, it'll be a 10 for me, I think. But for right now,
Gore. Gore's always taking shots at Saga.
For right now, it is definitely 9 out of 10 with the growth of being a 10 out of 10. It is definitely seen as one of the best rap albums of all time in the general music community, I would say. And rightfully so. A lot of people might, and as far as just Kendrick Lamar's discography, this is top 3 100%, if not top 2, if not top 1 for a ton of people.
Yeah.
And I would also suggest, if you guys do end up going to listen to this album, I would highly suggest the album beforehand, Good Kid, Mad City. It is one of my favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
And it is also just a great production value and storytelling of Kendrick. And in this album, he talks a lot about his life growing up in Compton. And there's also a lot of story, and the whole album cover with the van, a lot of the story is about him stealing his mom's van and taking it out for the day. And like the shenanigans he gets into and all the things that happen. Like he goes and robs a house, he gets into a shootout, he loses people. Like it's this whole thing. And it's crazy too that there's actually 2 different ways to listen to that album. There's one where you listen to it how he came out with it, and the other one is actually in like there's like a chronological order of the songs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
So I would highly suggest with that one, but this one is just, it's up to that standard of just, it brought a lot of people. I was watching interviews and things where it brought a lot of people back into listening a full album all the way through. I watched a ton of interviews where like, man, it's been a long time since I've sat and listened to something from beginning to end, and this album got me back into that.
Yeah.
So
nice.
I feel like that in of itself too. Yeah, I mean that those are also just random people's opinions. But guys, if you haven't ever listened to Kendrick Lamar, don't even listen to rap. If you're interested in diving into this, I highly suggest it. And 9 out of 10 for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, John. Where do you stand, my friend?
First listen, I was not impressed. It took a while to grow on me. Right now, honestly, I'm probably about a 7.5. But with every listen, I'm liking it more and more. So I could see this, and listening to you guys talk about it. Again, I started out with, this is not aimed towards me. I'm not the target audience. So this is completely alien to me in a lot of ways. But there's a lot that I appreciate about it, and a lot, the more I listen to it, the more I appreciate it. So I could definitely see where this album, I mean, is this going to be an album that, unfortunately, no, I don't think this is going to be one of the albums that, I'm listening to weekly or whatever. But I do think that I could see, I can certainly respect the album. And I think ultimately it would probably end up to be about a 9, just simply because of the content, the skill. I mean, his flow, the music behind it, all of that. I mean, for the genre, which is not my genre. Okay, so that is take that into account. But yeah, like I'm bouncing around between a 7 and an 8, so I'm kind of going at a 7.5.
It's great.
Hey, I'll take
I
that.
think that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And John, like you
I
said,
mean,
you didn't do a full deep dive into the lyrics. So I think, in a way, I feel like you haven't scratched the surface yet for some of what is so great about the album. And I'm excited for you for when you do get a chance to do that, because I do think your thoughts on even some of the lyrics are just going to change completely with even just from what you had said earlier. So like I'm excited. I think you only have up from here, like as you give this another shot.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest part for me is just being from a town of 700 and some people in West Virginia, trying to identify with somebody from Compton. That's two very different.
To be fair, I have no relation to the lifestyle of Compton either, and I don't think that this is
same.
Yeah,
so I am also John. I'm
I feel like we're
target audience for this.
I feel like we're in the same boat with you
in
a lot of ways. but I'm just saying more from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah,
and especially for someone who loves comics and appreciates that medium, and just storytelling in general. I think that's where, as you take some time to dive even deeper to that side of it, that I really mean this, John. Like that's how it was for as I started to understand more of it, I was like, holy crap, like this is what, like I had to go back through, we didn't even get to talk, there were so many more songs I wanted to actually break down. That's what I was wondering. I was like, no, how are we going to do this in an hour? I know it's over an hour, but I'm like, there's so many things I want to deep dive in, and there's still things I want to deep dive in. We'll have to do that another time. But
John's over there.
That's where,
hey,
yeah, oh yeah. But that's, what I mean. That's where I think that's how excited I am for you to know that once you hit this or dive into this, that it's going to change your thoughts even more.
Hey, maybe we'll do an album revisited kind of thing.
Yeah,
maybe far down the line,
I mean,
all right, maybe we're running out of ideas.
I was saying Mad City might be an album down the road too that we dive back into, giving us another excuse to kind of deep dive another set of lyrics. So
and trust me, now I'm over here plotting. Okay, I tested John with this album. Now let's see what other rap albums I can throw at him.
There you go. I do have. So I know we're wrapping up here, but I do have my album. So as we discussed backstage, for those who are wondering or interested, we are gonna do one more album this year, or another album review. So we're gonna aim for Tuesday, December 30th. So that'll give a full month essentially to get familiar with the album. So it is my pick this time around, and I did struggle to kind of decide which direction I initially wanted to go in. But and I wanted to pull it up. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Hang on.
Of course, did I nominate Brittany?
There we go. So okay, I want to officially the next album that we're going to review is from the band called Ghost. Are you guys familiar with Ghost?
I've seen them live.
Okay, I used to say, John, I think we talked about them. All right, so have you listened to the whole album Impera, John?
I've not listened to any of their albums.
Okay, great. So that's all I need.
They were opening for Iron Maiden.
Okay.
And actually, I have a little bit of an interest in going to see them at Mohegan Sun.
Oh, nice. Yes, they're coming. They're coming soon, right?
They're coming in February, I think.
Yeah, we thought about we might go to that. We're trying to figure it out because it's middle of the week, so it's tough for us. But I mean, we really want to go. So we're gonna do their 2022 album called Impura. And again, the band is Ghost. So I will, if anybody has a hard time finding it, let me know. I'll send you a link. It is available on Spotify and I'm sure other streaming services. But write it down now. The band is Ghost, and we're gonna listen to their 2022 album Impera. And I'm really excited to see what your guys' thoughts on this. And I will say, this band brings in a total unique crowd in its own, and it's in my opinion, music for everyone. It's including Lady No Good, who's in the chat. Lady No Good, it has quickly become her favorite band. The band Ghosts. So also Morgan is in the chat. Said Broke Boy Comics is my favorite YouTuber. Boom, nice.
It's my sister.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for tuning in, Morgan.
Yes, thank you.
Gore says, yeah, no, nominated Brittany. I wanted to highlight this before. He says, when it comes to stories, Nebraska by Bruce Springsteen is one of my favorites. I do want to listen to that album because I just watched the movie when it came out a couple weeks ago.
Was it good?
It was good. It was I enjoyed it. I think it was. I don't know if it necessarily had to initially do with Bruce. It almost could have been anybody. I haven't been like a big Bruce fan per se, or I haven't really given his music a chance. So
I need to too.
But I do know some of the hits. So, but Nebraska, that album, which is kind of what that movie's about, anyways, is what I heard is very good from a storytelling.
So neither of you have really listened to Springsteen?
Yeah, I mean, I know his hits, and I recognize a lot of his
haven't
albums.
Deep dived into him either, yeah.
Well, that's interesting because I'm thinking in terms of, the musical, what we're doing. I'm trying to think of something different. So I've been thinking a lot about alternative, but Springsteen's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I agree. Nebraska is an amazing album. That's not what I would introduce you to him with.
Right. Most people say that, that it's not his norm in that sense.
I wouldn't do the mainstream stuff. I would, but
yeah. I mean, Nebraska's not mainstream though, right? That's
I mean, like I wouldn't do Born in the USA.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Gore says Nebraska is one of his favorite albums. Yeah, I hear it's a deep album. Anyways, all right. I do have to jump. So I appreciate everybody hanging out.
Very interesting, by the way, Justin.
I
was just looking at it just now.
Just so you know, Ghost is a band that only one person is revealed in the band. Like as far as actual people know what his name is, everyone else is anonymous in the band.
Yeah, I get the impression that he's got a lot of people he just hires.
Oh yeah,
which
there's been rumors of like
surprises.
Yeah, he has like surprise guests, not even guests, but just you never know. And there's just rumors that at some point this artist was live in the band with them, and that no one knew because they wear masks. Cool. So, anyways, we'll get into it. I got to jump. We're gonna be back. I'll be back live in 10 minutes if you want to hang out and talk. On the next one.
Right.
For Noah and for John, their links are in the description. Make sure you sub up to them. We'll be back December 30th to talk about Ghost. But appreciate you fellas, and thanks to everybody in the chat. Smash the like button on the way out. We will talk to you later.
Take care.